Kazembe, where are you? Yapan. Kazembe. Waka watu wawana mkana iweo. Wokuwa na chairman pan up. You stop it. Wakabuda pa TV we Kazembe.
Demand a democratic development state and a fair
Zimbabwe. Good afternoon to the rest of the world. My name is Zurimbonye Kadzino, right here on The Shift as we discuss women empowerment. Women are taking up places. Women are shifting the sands. And women are leading industries. We have a discussion with women in the corporate sector. We understand how did they rise to the top. We have a discussion with women in politics, women in the public space. Today in the studio, I'm joined by the Vice President of the MDC Alliance, Vice President Lynette Karenyi. She's going to share with us her journey, her opportunities, some obstacles that she has come across, and she's going to help us understand women in politics and women in politics. Welcome, Vice President Lynette Karenyi to The Shift.
Thank you so much. You're welcome.
All right. Just on Sunday, Zimbabwe celebrated 41 years of independence, and the government continuously has spoken about the importance of empowering women and the youths. In your view, how has the government successfully done this?
I think we have a lot to achieve, and from my personal view, I think we have not done enough. Because if you take the issues of women and even if you go to the local authorities, if you go to the parliament, our percent is very, very low. And I think actually we have gone down, despite the fact that we have got now the proportional representation in parliament. Those who have gone for the first past the post, I think we have not done well. The percentage is very, very low. If you go into our cabinet, you realize that the number of women there is not enough. So I think taking into consideration that we have got 41 years of independence, I think we were now supposed to have more than 50% in parliament, in local authority, considering the other countries like the Rwanda and the other countries. So I strongly feel that we have not done enough as a government.
And what do you think are the main limitations to us achieving a 50% representation of women? Is it because women are not coming forward to participate in politics, or is the government not setting enough policies that support women empowerment or support women to also get into politics?
The first one is, I think the government has not done enough in terms of policies, because if you go to scrutinize the issue of that one, which I feel that since 1980, I think we only benefited it in 2013 after the global political agreement and after the issue of the new constitution. They only awarded the 60 seats for women only for 2 terms, which clearly shows that we have not done enough, because at the moment, we are coming to the end of that policy, whereby also the government, I think the cabinet have proposed to extend the issue of 60 seats with another 10, with another 2 terms, which is not enough. I think by now they were now supposed to put it permanently in the constitution, the way we also do in the Senate, which will empower women. And the other factor is the issue of the political stability of our country. It's not very easy for women to go into the political space and contest freely. The ground is not even, the ground is not leveled for women. If you go to any political party, it's not easy for women to win the primary elections. Number one, they are not even empowered. You can't go and race for a primary election if you don't have resources. So women are financially not resourced. And because of the patriarchy and because of our culture and beliefs, it was not easy for a woman to contest or to get into those positions of decision making. So those are the other factors which I strongly feel that they are taking us back. The issue of empowerment, even the issue of empowering women to participate, I think we are not doing enough. We are mainly catching them after they have already won the elections. And very few organizations are taking this seriously to go to the grassroots, to empower women before they go into parliament or into local authority. I think WAUPI is trying their level best. The other one is WIPSU. They are trying their level best, but I strongly feel that they need collaboration from other sectors so that we encourage women to participate and make sure that the level is conducive for women. Because if you go to the issue of the political parties, especially those from the oppositions, it's not easy because you can bear with me that when you go for the elections, the issues of violence affects women and children. So very few women will say, next time I will contest. If you go and ask any woman, that woman will tell you that those who are in the middle classes, they are not even coming up to participate in politics because they are afraid that if you go and contest, it's by the end of the day, it's either you are harassed, you are arrested, you are sent to jail, or you are intimidated. So for me, those are also some of the factors that the issue of political violence in our country is also affecting the participation of women into decision-making board.
Mm-hmm. We're going to discuss more in depth about the grounds that you are talking about, how women are not coming forth to participate in politics. But before we go there, can we just share with us who is Lynette Karenyi? We want to understand your journey. How did you get into politics? You discussing about and you describing about an uneven ground for women to get into politics. What prompted you to get into politics in such an environment?
It's not an easy journey. You know, I was born in a family of 6 boys, and I'm the only girl. And that environment alone, it showed me that it's not easy to get wherever you want to go. You also need to be very strong because the environment was not the same environment with others. In the background, I think I was born in a background of an opposition background because I come from Chimani Mani, whereby if you go to history, it was the ZANU Ndonga, the Zoom, and the issue of politics. I think my mom was one of the people who encouraged me because she was in the ZANU Ndonga. From ZANU Ndonga, I think she will continue to support the opposition. So I joined politics in 1999 when MDC was formed, and from there I contested to be a councillor. I think I was the first opposition councillor in Ward 16 under the seat of Mutare. And my journey was not that easy because after 2 years in power, that's when I was recalled again by the then the local government minister, who was Ignatius Chombo. I think you remember when the opposition took most of the seats, the likes of Wanamzuri, the likes of Wanaka Gurabadza, and most of the local authorities were suspended. So I was one of the people who was suspended. And after that, I did not lose hope. The journey was not easy. The arrests, the torture, and something like that. So in 2008, I think I also managed to participate in the general elections, where I was voted as the member of parliament for Chimanimani West. And that journey for me was not easy, because I think I was the only female member of parliament under the opposition who was racing in the rural areas. And the elections was not easy, because I was campaigning against the minister by then, who was Mutezo from ZANU-PF. He was well resourced. I had no resources. I had only one car with me, and the elections was not easy. But I think I managed my way in, because that's where I was born. I was born in Chimanimani, and that's where I contested. So it was not easy, because after I've won, before the elections, one of the candidates, who was Munacho Mutezo, he filed a report, and I was arrested. The allegations were that I have forged the signature for my nomination court, and I was in and out. Kuma courts. I think I was more like in Noto Sharwa court, because it was every day, in, out, in, out, in, out. Then after that, I managed to win the election, and he also filed an election petition, where I was where he was citing that I have rigged the elections, and he also filed another petition for the recount, and I went for a recount. And after the recount, I think I also won with some extra votes. Then from there, it was not easy for me. I was arrested now and then. And I remember this other day, that I think that was 2012, I was arrested with the allegation that I had said something against the government, regime Zindatuka, the former president, Mugabe. And that case was something else. It was politically motivated. I think I spent 14 days in remand prison, in Mutare remand prison. And after that, the arrest was in, out, in, out. And later, I think after about some 6 months or 7 months, or after a year, I can't remember very well, I was charged, and I was, the judgment was that I was not supposed to attend parliament. I was not going to contest in any elections for the next 5 years, blah, 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 blah. Then after that, I think the Speaker of Parliament wrote a letter that I was supposed to withdraw myself from parliament. And I think I was recalled by parliament, not by my party or by ZANU-PF, and they said I'm no longer supposed to attend parliament. I think I took 2 weeks. Then from there, I challenged my case, and I was also asked to go back to parliament. And I think from there, I managed to complete my term. And I contested from my party. I think that time I was the organizing secretary for the Assembly of Women. And from there, 2014, I managed to contest as the chair lead of the National Assembly of Women. And I won that election, though it was a tough one. From there, I contested to be the member of parliament under the proportional representation for Manicaland province. And we managed to go go back to parliament in 2018. And 2019, I contested to be the vice president, and I managed to win. And October 1, I was recalled from parliament. So I'm now out of parliament again. That's my journey.
You've mentioned about your first recalls, your arrests, and now you are mentioning that you've been recalled from parliament. What gave you power from back then to continue
to be in politics, to continue to go in court, as you mentioned, in and out? Why didn't you just give up to say, why am I fighting for this? Why did you continue?
Yeah, you know what? If you've got a passion, it's not easy to fight that passion. I think you believe that if you love something, it's not easy kuti ubvisirwe chiri mumoyo. Chiri easy ndechiri pamaoko. So from my background, I love to work with women and children, and I'm one person who is not easy to convince. If I say this is wrong, it's wrong. You can't convince me to say chinu chiri wrong, chiri right. I normally don't do that. So I'm a straightforward person, and I'm also a principled woman. And the first time when I was recalled, they wanted me to fight against my mayor. And I remember very well when I attended the panel for the hearing, I was very, very straightforward to say, this is wrong. And you can't tell me to fight my party, and you can't tell me to join ZANU-PF. I don't even have in my blood any element of ZANU-PF, so I can't be forced to join ZANU-PF. So I refused and say I will fight. And I said one day I'm going to sit with the Ignatius Chomba and I'm going to fight him. And 2008. When I contested in the rural areas, it was not easy because for an opposition to win in the rural areas, it's not easy. But I managed to fight. And when I won that election, I was appointed by my president, Baba Changirai, to be the chair of the portfolio committee for local government. And that motivated me very well because I said to myself, here comes Chombo, the one who fired me, and I'm going to face him. And I did for sure face him. And it was not easy for me, though he was very, very hostile to attend my committee, but to me, it was an achievement. Then after that, with this one for the recall again, it was not easy for me to make, it was very easy for me to make a decision because after the person of our president, the icon, Baba Changirai, we had the alliance, and I was one of the people who managed to campaign the whole country to campaign for the unity and the alliance. So when our colleagues were now fighting the issue of the alliance, I said to myself, I'm going to be very principled because the president, by then Baba Changirai, is the one who had the vision for us to form the alliance. So my colleague also wanted me to fight that. And I said to myself, I can't fight my conscience, and I can't fight my belief in my principle. So I remained principled, and they asked me to join the MDCT. And I said to myself, I can't join MDCT because we formed the alliance, and the alliance is the party which I managed to campaign, and it's the party which managed to win the elections, and people are in parliament because of the alliance. So they tried to say, you have to join MDC, and I was saying to them, no, Baba Changirai is the one who formed the alliance, so I will remain principled and follow his footsteps. So I said to myself, I must be I must continue to be principled, and I think I tried my level best, and again I say to myself, politics and church, you can't separate them. In church, pastors are called to be pastors. Also in politics, politicians are also called. There are politicians who are in politics for their food, for their stomach. There are politicians who are in politics to gain some assets or any other material things. And there are also politicians who are in politics to fight for the people's rights, to fight for the people's government, to fight for other human rights issues. So I'm one of those people who are in politics not for money, who are in politics because I love politics, who are in politics because I love to fight for people's rights. So I think that is the main reason which keeps me going and which keeps me fighting for people's rights. I'm not in politics for any other reasons. I'm there for what I believe, and I'm there because I've not yet fulfilled my vision, and my mission. Because when I joined politics, my vision was to say, I must fight what is wrong. And I said, ZANU-PF is doing something which is wrong. So I am continuing to fight until I will achieve my vision. So I think it keeps me going and keeps me moving, because after being recalled, it's not easy for some of the politicians to say, you are recalled, you are no longer going to parliament, you have lost your salary, you have lost some benefits. And some would say, no, let me join ZANU-PF, let me join this opposition. But as for me, I will say, I will not join anyway. I will remain who I am, and I will continue to fight. So I think it keeps me going to say, I have not yet achieved my mission. I will continue to fight for my vision, and I will continue to fight until I achieve my goal.
Mhm. Do you think your party supports women empowerment? You've spoken about how it's tough for women to win even parliamentary elections. How effective is your party policy of women empowerment in making sure that more women participate in primary elections for the national elections as well?
I think in past we were not doing enough, but as of now, I think we have tried our level best. From 1999, I think we've achieved some of the seats, and it's not enough. And I think we still need to do more of this empowerment. But after the Congress, we managed to adopt the issue of 50-50. And if you go into our national executive, you will find that each province, out of 5 representatives, 3 of them are women and 2 are men. But in other provinces, 2 are women, 3 are men. But the issue was to try by all means to empower women. And we said to the party, each province must have a gender empowerment, and we must make sure that we empower women. So let's start from our structures before we go to the national activities. So in the national executive, yes, we have women from all the political structures, which I strongly feel that it's an achievement, especially coming from a background that I was the chair for the Assembly of Women. And if you come to the issue of the standing committee, when we went for the elections, the president, Advocate Nelson Chamisa, managed to empower women, and he was very, very vocal in terms of women participation. That's why you find that I was saying Advocate Nelson Chamisa is the one who advocated for the women empowerment in the presidium, because he managed to make sure that we had a policy where he said 1 female VP must be elected among the 3. So we, among the 3 VPs, we had a ballot paper or an election where we were contesting women against women. And that time we were 3 candidates, myself and the other 2, and we managed to have 1 VP. But we also had another election where we were saying 2 of the VPs we were going to vote women and men. So it was going to be an advantage to us if we had managed to play our politics very well. By now, we were going to have 2 VPs who were going to be women, because the first ballot was only for women. The second ballot was for men and women, which was an advantage to us. So in terms of women participating and in terms of women empowerment, I think our president is done very well. If you go to the presidium, the chairman of the party is a woman. And if you go to the presidium again, the the deputy secretary general is also a woman. If you go to the deputy treasurer, she was also a woman. If you go to the spokesperson, she's also a woman. So I think in terms of empowering women in the presidium, I think our president has done very, very well. I really recommend and I'm really humbled, because it's not easy for a president to say the deputy must be a woman. And where we have not done enough is the seats for the first past the post, for the parliamentary seats, and for the local government, of which we have now managed to adopt a resolution to say we must have women, and we must adopt the issue of 50-50 so that we align ourselves with the national constitution. So come election, I think if we are very, very mature, I think we are going to have more women in parliament. Because the other issue is, the issue of 66 was also affecting us, because you know, when you go for these primary elections, Varume would start to say, "Madzimai mutori nemasits kudhara, so why do you want to claim 50 seats again?" But now we have managed to resolve it and say, the 60 seats is not for MDC Alliance only, it's for the whole country. So you can't say we have got 60 seats already. So we must have 50 seats in the lower house and 50 seats in the Senate. So in the Senate, we are okay. But in the lower house, we must also encourage women to participate. So for the local authority and for the first past the post, we have not done enough. I think we must do more, because our numbers is very, very low.
Mm-hmm. Talking about women representation in parliament, there is the quota system, like what you're saying, that it has been helping women, more women, to get into parliament. But do you think, in your view, the quota system is effective? I've had interviews with several other members of parliament who were complaining that most women who go into parliament because of the quota system will later be labeled as bakosi, and sometimes their voices are not really amplified. In your view, do you think that the quota system is very effective in having more women to get into parliament or to participate in politics?
No, I would say no, it's not effective. Number one, it has created hate among women. And for your own information, in all the political parties, it is not empowering women per se, but it is disadvantaging women. Because if you go for the primaries, Varume would say, you have got 60 seats already. Why do you want to claim for other seats? So it's a disadvantage to women. And I would say it's better for us to go for 50-50, because the 50-50 will also save the government in terms of resources, because you will not have any additional set of members of parliament to go into parliament with the proportional representation. We will only have 210 members of parliament without the extra 60. Why do we want to burden the government? Why do we want to burden the government? It's easy for us to adopt 50-50 because it's already in the constitution. We are simply supposed to align the constitution to say 50 seats, 105 for women, 105 for men. Then we would save the government in terms of resources, because you could have saved 60 cars, would have saved 60 salaries, you had saved so many things. So I strongly feel that it is disadvantaging women, it is also disadvantaging government. So if you go again to the issue of empowerment, we are not empowering young women. The reason why I'm saying that is we are growing old, and we also need to mentor these young women so that after us, they will also do the work, and they will also have a sustainable parliament whereby we have more women, young women, the middle one and the old. So the issue is these proportional representation seats. You go to ZANU-PF. If you ask anyone from ZANU-PF, if you ask anyone from MDC Alliance or MDCT, you will find that most of those women are those in the presidium, those who are in the Politburo of ZANU-PF, those who are in the standing committee or the national executive of MDC Alliance, which is not good, which is not good. If you ask yourself, we are saying we need to empower women. So 2013, we managed to empower 60 women. And if you go in 2018, those are the same women who managed to go back in parliament. So I thought maybe if you have empowered a woman, it means that woman is now financially resourced, or no, if there's no finances, I know they are not getting much. But the issue of a vehicle is a resource to me, which means that woman can manage to go and campaign in the rural areas. That woman can go and campaign in the urban areas. So if we manage to give that woman a resource or an empowerment, I also feel that they must also pass on the empowerment to the other members of parliament, which I feel is not the norm. If you say we are going to extend, I can say to you, you bear with me. If we are going to extend this 60 seats for the next 2 years, 2 terms, take this from me. You are going to see the same women in 2023. Those who have been empowered in 2013, 2018 are also going to come back in 2023. So where is the empowerment? The empowerment is not there. So I strongly feel that there was supposed to be something like a clause in that constitution to say, if you have been empowered under the proportional representation, you are going to go in that parliament for 2 terms alone. So if you get 2 terms, you would have achieved whatever you want to achieve. If you want to fight for the women's rights, if you want to fight for your constituents, obviously, then after 2 terms, you are not going to come back. If you want to seek for another term, then you must go to the first past the post, because you could have more knowledge, you could have more resources, you could have more knowledge to go and more strategies to go and campaign. So I feel that if you want to extend the proportional representation, then we must put a clause to say, if Karenyi has managed to be empowered by the proportional representation for 2 terms, then it's enough for her. She must also pave way for other women to benefit. But with this constitution, if it is going to be open like this to say, let's continue to lobby for the extension, so it means we are not going to empower more women. In other words, we are going to empower the same women from ZANU-PF, we are going to empower the same women from MDC, which is not good for the country, which is not good. So I would say to myself, if we want these seats to be effective, then we must put a clause in that constitution to say it's going to be permanently, it's going to empower a woman for 2 terms only. So after 2 terms, then you are kicked out of that parliament. Then you go and take a seat for first past the post. Mm-hmm. So I would say it is disadvantaging women. The other disadvantage is the young women will not see the light in parliament, because it's not easy for a young woman to be in the presidium of a party. It's not easy for a young woman to campaign. So we are just promoting, number 1, favoritism, number 2, factionalism, number 3, kungovengana amongst ourselves. So the PR is not empowering women. In other words, irikutoti disadvantage. The other issue is, munonzwa vanhu vachitaura issue yeBakosi. Do you know where it is coming from? The issue is, we are empowering women to get 60 seats. So when you talk of the issue of representing or the issue of representation, whom are you representing? Karenyi is a member of parliament under the proportional for Mutare, for Manicaland, for whatever. But when it comes to responsibility, Ndimbori answerable to who? Ndimbori answerable to who? Inina was a member of parliament for Chimani Mani West 2008. I was responsible and I was accountable to Chimani Mani West. I would say after parliament, I must go back to Chimani Mani and give a feedback there. I must go and hear their views and their proposals and their problems, and I'll bring them to parliament. But if you are a proportional representation, if you are under proportional representation, then if you go and say, for example, you want to go to Nyanga South, there is a member of parliament there already. That MP would say, you want to come and take my seat. So already the issue of tension and the issue of fighting amongst each other, the issue of conflict, in at play. Because no one is going to be comfortable with you, even if you want to work. So it will create also the issue of laziness and the issue so you don't even have to campaign and you don't even have to be answerable to anybody. So those who have got friends in the presidium, those who have got money to buy for the elections or for them to be put on the list will be the ones having any advantage. You go to the issue of that list, there is number 1, there is number 2, there is number 3, up to number 6. For from each party, everyone wants to be number 1 and number 2, where they will feel safe. Because number 4, number 5, it's not easy for you to get in parliament. So in Nini, it has not even done anything, any form of empowerment, but it is disadvantaging women. Why don't we just advocate for 50-50 so that we know that we are guaranteed? Because if you put a woman there, I know very well from my background and from my experience, they work. Women are very accountable. They are very transparent and they are less corrupt. They are less corrupt. So if we empower a woman, in other words, you've empowered the nation. So let's go for 50-50 and let's speak with one voice. Because I know there are also other women there. They want to be in parliament through the proportional. Because we have got other women who had some seats. They managed to kubva seats and they went to the safe zone for them for the proportional representation. In other words, they managed to demobilize because they were not supposed even to leave their seats to go for the to go for the proportional. So they had been empowered. Some of them were in parliament from 1980. Some had been in parliament from 2000. But they managed to say, let me go to the safe seat. So to me, Nina, I strongly feel that we must work and go for the first past the post under the issues of saying we are empowered to say we contest, these seats are for women, we contest woman to woman. If it is ZANU-PF, if it is MDC, if it is Ndonga, if it is any party, then we would say we have achieved. So in any 60 seats from my start from 2013, and Kumboida, I didn't even support it the way I done, and because create the amount of hate, laziness, the amount of mazita to be say bakosi, mahara, and the issue of, and some would even go to an extent to say one of the so in I would go for the 50-50 rather than the 60 seats.
Mm-hmm. And also, when we talk about issues of women empowerment, some have spoken about issues of patriarchy. Do you think your party recognizes you as the vice president the same way that they recognized Honorable Tindaibit?
From my party, I strongly feel that they have done enough, because even in terms of the responsibilities and in terms of party duties, I was given the duties which I strongly feel that it's enough, and the party have done well to empower myself. And even if I'm delegated by my president to attend on behalf of him, I'm given that respect the same way they do to the president, to say she is the one who is acting, and they also respect me very, very well. So I strongly feel that they have done enough. In Nini Pachezhangu, I feel Varume have done enough. Even if you go back to the issue of the time when we were advocating for one woman to be, one deputy president to be a woman, Vamwe Vakadzi, who I can't even mention by name, they were opposing that kind of proposal. But Varume, they stood and say, no. We can't be a party without a deputy president who is going to be a woman. So let's support the deputy president to be a female VP. So for me, they've done enough. And I really, I'm humbled, because it's not easy to be a woman VP, amongst the educated, amongst those who have got some power to say, Varume, to me, I feel I am being respected.
And what do you think is the main reason why women cannot support another woman? There are narratives to say, "Mukona mukadzi aenda padenga." Some people will say, "Pull her down," that pull her down syndrome. What is the main reason why women are not able to support each other?
By nature, Manangu, by nature, I think zviri muvakadzi. And if it is the issue of empowerment to say people must be empowered with knowledge to support each other, I think the NGOs have done enough. They've done enough. We've attended so many workshops to say you must support each other. Why is it when you go for a primary election, if there is a woman there and a man there, people would prefer to vote for a man and leaving the woman? And it's something which I think is globally, because if you attend even the workshop with other countries, the issue of the pull it down is there. The issue of pull it down is there. Most of it, zongo pedzwa nema policies to say, let's empower women, to say, let's have the reserved seats for women, let's have 50-50, let's have the proportional, which is going to be permanently. So kamwe ikako ke kusango guskana nesevakadzi. We have a lot to desire, and we must work very, very hard. And I also feel that the element of saying mukadzi akaitwa empowered, umwewo haazofungi to empower other women, karimo matiri, because you would find out kuti umwe munhu akamuka member of parliament, vice president, anokanganwa futi vakadzi vacho. So I think it's a two-way process where I feel kuti those who have been empowered to be in those hierarchy and to be in those decision-making board, they must also plow back, and they must also have the programs of mentorship to say, ndiri kukura, ndingangoramba ndiri vice president here. Obviously, after me, there's going to be another woman. So we must work together and say, after me, there is also going to be a woman. So those who are in the decision-making board, even to my government sectors or to my parastatals, vamwe vanofila kuti mukadzi akasvika padhuze, it's a threat. So they will strongly feel that it's better for me to be here where I am. And also forgetting kuti pauri ipapo is also the sweat from other women. So I think we must also have this mentality to say, even if I'm empowered, I must also empower other women. And I must also be accommodative, have an open door policy to also hear other people's view. And the issue is, if another woman is lost, arasika, akutadza zvamuri kuda kuti aite, the fact is you must engage that woman. So the problem is vazhinji, they will say, tichamuona zviri paCongress tomubvisa. But in other words, it's not enough. I can take, for example, ZANU-PF. They did that. After removing Joyce Mujuru, they replaced it with a man. And vamwe vakadzi vakatoenjoya. Tazomukaurisa, tazomubvisa. But it was not an achievement. It was not an achievement. They could have removed Joyce Mujuru and also fight for a woman to take after her. Then it was going to say, yes, we have achieved. So issue riponde kuti, even if that woman is wrong, you must engage her. This is wrong. Why don't you change your leadership skills? Why don't you change your leadership qualities? Why don't you change your style? That woman will also listen and say, for sure, let me also listen. So I think we've got a lot to embrace, and we've got a lot to fight for, to say, as women, we are not enemies. Let's work together and let's support each other, because without that, and it's not from the grassroots only, it's also from those who are in the party hierarchy, those who are in the parastatals, those who are in the middle class, to come together and say, let's support each other. Because at the moment, we have not done enough to support each other. We have not done enough.
Mm-hmm. You have spoken also about your continuous arrest, and we also see this happening with Netai Maro, Cecilia Chimbiri, and Joanna Mamombe. What do you think these do to to other women who also want to get into politics? You've spoken about how you got arrested because you had insulted the president, and Cecilia Chimbiri and Joanna Mamombe are facing similar charges. What do you think this does to other women who also want to get into politics?
It is clearly a message to close the democratic space. You say, you ask any grass or any woman out there, arikumusha kuchimani to say, why can't you contest to be a councillor or to be a member of parliament? That woman will say, so that I also get into problems like what Joanna and Cecilia and Netai are going through. Anotochka. No. I think you people, you're strong enough. We are not that strong enough to face those problems. We can't come to politics. We can't join politics. We can't come and say, I want to contest it, because after contestation, after getting into parliament, you find yourself out through the back door. And the law is going to be used against you to say you have to come out of that parliament. You ask, you say to yourself, what has Joanna done? She is a young woman. She is motivating other young women to go into politics. But if those women are saying, ko Joanna, zvari kungoti nhasi asungwa, mangwana ari kunze, mangwana ari mukati, mangwana ari kunze, mangwana ari mukati, what about me? Can I be strong enough to go into politics? Obviously, it is closing those avenues for our young women to join politics. It's not going to be easy for those who want to come and support a women empowerment. It's not going to be easy. I will share with you the other reason why women in the middle class doesn't want to participate in politics. If you ask those women, they will tell you that, Karenyi, I've got my business. I don't want my business kuti anozopiswa. I don't want my business kuti inozoita broke. I will better concentrate with my business. If it is supporting you guys, we better support you when we are out there. We will just support you behind our back, behind your back. But to coming out in open, no. I can't come out. Because in Nini, I don't think my husband will allow me to participate, because after participation, imba yangu ichapiswa, shop yangu ichaparadza. So it's not easy. The space in Zimbabwe is not conducive for young women and for old women or in those in the middle class. So we have got a long way to go in terms of encouraging other women to join politics, because it's not easy. You go to 2008 violence, it was against women. You go in 2014, it was against women. You go to August, it was against women. So vanongosara vaya vane the elephant scheme to say, I'm going to fight, I will continue to fight. But for those who are weak, it's not easy. So the space is being closed slowly. By the end of the day, women participation is not going to be easy for us.
Mm-hmm. And you have continuously denounced issues of gender-based violence, talking about issues of sexual abuse. What would you say about this?
I'm one of the people who doesn't even care to say, because you know what? Most of the women are afraid, or maybe vanonyara, to talk about sexual harassment. Vanonyara to talk about sexual harassment. Some would say, varipanze vanozoti kudi. But I'm one of those who have managed to fight against the issue of sexual harassment. I raised it in parliament, and up to now, the speaker has not done enough to protect women. Varume vaya, they would even say anything against a woman. Even if you want to come out open to fight for your rights, and if you want to debate, they will just utter a word out there. Inonyadzisa, to an extent that you will not even have courage to speak and fight for your rights. And during that time, most of the young women were saying, I can't stand up and speak a VP, because the moment I will speak, he's going to shout against me. And I said to myself, no. Let me raise this against this man. And I managed to speak against it. And I said to the speaker, there must be a committee to investigate this man, because they are fighting the rights of women. They are fighting women, and they are talking more and more language. We are in parliament to fight for our rights, not to fight for men. So it's not going to be very easy for us. We must continue to fight. And I pray that those who are in parliament must take this up and face the speaker to say, this was raised by Karenyi, this was raised by Joanna Mamombe. What have you done, speaker? What have you done to punish these men? Because they are the same varume vanongorwisa vakadzi vavo. So I think it's now high time for other women not to shy kutaura nezve-sexual harassment, because sexual harassment is there. It is there. And if it is happening in parliament where the law iriyo inotaurwa imomo, what about other sectors? What about in the parastatals? What about in the schools? What about in the universities? It is happening daylight, and we can't continue to keep quiet, and we can't continue to say, we must continue to fight, because our young women, they will not stand to say, let's fight for it. Let's fight for it, especially Isusu. We have nothing to lose. Especially myself, I've got nothing to lose, because parliament, I will say it as it is. And in the name, I will name and shame. And I will continue to name and shame. So those who speak, I think those vanofungidzira kuti kunyarara is kuri right, but I would say to be silent is also violent. Ukanyarara uri kutopromota violence, so you better speak so that you end violence. You can't say kunyarara kunopedza zvese. In other words, you are promoting violence. You must speak out so that varume vatye kuti vakadzi they will speak. The issue of gender-based violence again, iriko, and the varume, some of them, they will say, vakadzi mimo muri kutirowa mudzimba. I would also encourage those men to speak up. Because if you don't speak up, unotorohwa zvechokwadi uchitoita mbonje kana kutofa. So it's both varume nevakadzi. We must speak out. We must speak out, because if you continue to keep quiet, we are also sending a message kuvana kuti you can't join politics.
And as we close, I would like to ask you to address your younger self. What do you wish you had known prior to where you are today? I would like to ask you to address that young Lynette, that 6-year-old, that 7-year-old. What would you say to her today?
I would say, even if you are from a poor background, you can still achieve what you want. Because I went to school in a rural, remote area at Water Springs Primary. And I went to a mission school where I went for my boarding at St. Patrick's Mission. And normally, if I go to my rural area, I always go to my old school. I would see that woman, that young lady, that young girl, without even boots, without even a uniform, yakanaka, but they must not say, I don't think I will not get there. You will achieve what you want to achieve. It's only that you need to be focused. It's only that you also need to speak out. If you are intimidated, if you are sexually harassed, if you are beaten up, or if something is done to you which is wrong, you must speak out. Even if your father vakuitira something which is wrong, you must speak out. And I was lucky that when I grew up in a family of 6 boys, they were very, very supportive. I think during that time, I would say, mai vangu vanondinyanyira, vanondiwanzira zvekuita, because she would say, you can't go to school before you wash my plates, before you do, usati wa clean my yard, you can't go to school. And she would say, you can't even go to school, usati waenda kurwisi kunogeza. And to me, it was more like she's harassing me. But I think she was trying to send a message to say, you must also do it for yourself. And this is what I would encourage those, especially in the rural areas, to say. You must be brave enough. And even ukanza una chinhu chekunzi unacho, one day you achieve what you want. But you must be brave enough. to fight for your rights, to fight for what you want to do. Because at the moment, we have got so many young girls out there vari kuitwa abused. Yes, the organizations vari kuvabatsira, but I think we have not done enough to hear their voices. Because I was listening to one of them audios yesterday, I think it was on Facebook, a young girl at 9 years in Epworth, arikuita the issue of what do you call selling sex for money or what. And I said to myself, what are we doing as parliamentarians? What are we doing as young or as old women out here? Why don't we go and try by all means to empower those women, both those young girls? Because if you ask her background, maybe mai vakafa, baba vakafa, ashaya muna nomutora. So I think we must do what I call maybe mentorship, and also we must try by all means to encourage them, give them a little bit of resources to make sure that they empower themselves, because those are the young leaders that we expect. And tomorrow, presidents. So for those young girls out there, I would say you must focus. You must not do what you don't want to do. And I would say, pane vamwe vanoti in politics, rise up between those ranks, favoritism, it's either one way or the other, the issue of kuzongonzi mazikano or what. No. If you are principled, you get what you want. Even if you want to go and contest to be a member of parliament or a councillor, don't sell your body for anything. You can get it. What you want is to focus. What you want is to work very hard. What you want is to be humble, to be a respected somebody. Because if you are humble enough, people would say, we want this woman to lead us because she's very humble. Anoshikika, anosekerera nevanhu, anotaura nesu, anoteerera zvichemo zvedu. So I would say to those young women, don't think kuenda ku politics unofanira kuwana favoritism for you to achieve what you want. You can also get what you want ukangowa a principled person. You can also get what you want ukangoita munhu ari straightforward. And those young women out there, I know some would not even go to university, some would not even go to secondary school because of my challenges. Hold on there, hold on. Don't even go kuti unoroorwa nekuti ndiri mudiki kuti no. Being married during mwana mudiki doesn't mean waachieve. It's not an achievement. It's not an achievement. Just keep on pushing. You get there. If you ask all these women around you, kutori nevakanga vari kuita magirls, anonzi ma house girl, kune vakatoita magardener, kune vakatoita chi, they are in that parliament. Vatorimo, vatori kuma NGOs, they are the directors, vatori nezvavanazvo. They've achieved because they said to themselves, yes, my father and my mom doesn't have money for me to go to secondary school, but I will do something. And vamwe vatori ma businessmen, if you ask those vamwe vatori ma businessmen, vatori ma successful business women, havana kutomboenda kuchikoro, but they had this vision in them to say, I will do it, I will continue to do it. So those young women out there, I would say, hold on to your vision, hold on to your goal. You will soon achieve what you want to achieve.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Vice President Lynette Karenyi, for joining us on this episode of The Shift. And I trust that all ladies, all women, and even men out there who are listening to us right now as we're discussing with her really learned a lot. This is The Shift, and I'm Rimbonyika Dzino. It's a good afternoon.